Hi there, my magical star beings. This is Psychic Siren Tarot, and welcome to the channel. In today's reading, we're going to be taking a look at what stories people tell about you. So, before we get in, I just wanted to let you all know I'm taking a limited amount of clients for personal readings. So, if you'd like to book, you can send me an email that you can find in the channel's About section or DM me on Instagram at Psychic Siren Tarot. So now let me show you all your piles. Take a look at each one and see which one you are most drawn to. So for pile number 1, we have the crystal Rose Quartz. And we have the Knight of Cups from the Light Seers Tarot. For pile number 2, we have Howlite. And we have the Star card from the Ethereal Visions Tarot. And for pile number 3, we have Amethyst. And we have the Hangman with Iolite from the Crystal Magic Tarot. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to pick a pile. Pick whichever pile you're most drawn to, the one that is calling out to your soul the most, and that will be your pile for today. Once you're done picking a pile, please find the timestamps for your pile in the description box below, and then I'll see you at your reading. Hi there, my pile number 1s. If you chose this Rose Quartz crystal and the Knight of Cups from the Light Seers Tarot, this reading is for you. We're going to be taking a look at what stories people tell about you. So please be aware this is a general reading. Only take what resonates, leave the rest. Before we get started, if you missed what I said in the intro, I will be taking a limited amount of clients for personal readings. So if you'd like to book, you can send me an email that you can find in the channel's About section or DM me on Instagram at Psychic Siren Tarot. So the card you chose is the Knight of Cups. So people may talk a lot about your love life, or like people that kind of crush on you a little bit may tell certain stories about you, or if you're in any romantic connection, or if you've had any situationships, or, spoken to people in a romantic sense, they may tell certain stories about you or your lover if you're in a romantic connection. So I'm pretty excited to see what shows up for you. We're just going to use this tarot deck for you today. So spirit guides of my pile number 1s. Spirit guides of my pile number 1s. May I please tap into their energy and the stories people tell about them? What stories do people tell about them? So we have the Hierophant. We have the Sun. We have Temperance. We have the Four of Pentacles. What stories people tell about my pile 1s? So we have the Ace of Wands. We have the Queen of Cups. We have the King of Swords. There is definitely an attraction feel here with the Ace of Wands. We have the Nine of Wands. What stories people tell about pile 1? We have the Eight of Wands. What stories people tell about them? Seven of Wands. the High Priestess. Okay, at the back of the deck, we have Seven of Swords. So if I need to, I'll add and pull more cards as I go along. Okay, so my pile number ones, what stories people tell about you? I'm seeing a mixture of energies here. Romantic, friendship, people you know, acquaintances. I guess the depth of the stories they tell would depend on how well they know you. But I think most of it is all good things. Most of it is nice things people say about you. So what I'm seeing as a kind of common denominator in the sense of like what a lot of people say about you in their stories is they will talk about your character and who you kind of are as a person. So you're showing up as the Queen of Cups here. Okay, so what I feel here, people often say about you in their stories as a common theme is that you're someone really calm, even when you go through challenges with the Nine of Wands and with the Seven of Wands. So both these cards can talk about challenges in a way. So it's like I see this energy of people talking about you as a person, being someone that is super calm and you know how to kind of go with the flow. You know how to calm down your mind with the King of Swords and really follow your intuition with the Owl here and the High Priestess. Because owls represent intuition. It's kind of giving me the vibe of, let's say you're in a friendship group. This doesn't have to resonate, but this is an example of the energy. And let's say you all get into a sticky situation together, a challenging situation where you don't know how you're going to get out. And it's like everyone around you is panicking, is like, what are we going to do? They're stressed out. They're all stressed out, okay? So, and then you're that calm one within that whole group, and you're calming everyone else down, being like, hey, it's okay. We're gonna come up with a solution together. Like, calm down, it's okay. So I'm getting people talk about you where you are calm even in chaos, even at your workspace. If you work or if you're at school, when you're under pressure, it's like people talk about you in their stories as if you always calm down the energy. So, you know, people may tell stories in which you got into some kind of challenge or sticky situation, but you were that calm person that got them out of it. And even though in the moment it's something very challenging and like you don't know what you're going to do to get out of that situation, after when they tell the story with the Hierophant, maybe they learn something from it. Maybe they learn to kind of be a little bit patient with Temperance and let things kind of flow as you always do. But then after they can laugh about the story. It's kind of reminding me of, you know, in series when in an episode they get into some kind of sticky situation and then as someone watching it, you're like, ooh, what are they gonna do now? Like, oh my gosh, why did they do that? Why did they get into that situation? Then after, it's something to laugh about. So I'm getting that kind of energy here with the Hierophant since he's laughing here. So that's something people may often talk about you in their stories, especially your friendships or people that know you really well, where it's kind of a laughable story, okay? People may talk about you in their stories where they maybe even also repeat some funny things you've said, or some funny situations you've been through together. Like, let's say you say something in an awkward situation and it's so funny that everyone bursts out laughing. You know, people may talk about that story in a way where they over dramatize it to add suspense, and then they're like, pile number one said this, and we all burst out laughing. So people may talk about you like that in your stories, even if you don't consider yourself funny. That's kind of what I'm getting with the Hierophant and the Sun. And people often talk about you in their stories to be very smart with the King of Swords, to be someone with a great mind that can think and that can have that logic. But you also have a very incredible intuition here with the High Priestess. So you have a best of both worlds in that sense. And when people talk about you in their stories with the Ace of Wands, they say that you're very fun to be around. You're someone that kind of adds passion to every situation, adds this fiery energy of warmth to every situation. People talk about you in their stories as you being someone very fun to be around, as you being someone very happy-go-lucky with the sun. And it's very freeing to be around you, is what people often talk about you in their stories as. It's very freeing and it's very fun. There's always a good time. There's always laughs. And people may talk about you in the sense where you're very sexy. Like I'm getting I'm getting that with the Ace of Wands. So people may talk about you to be very physically attractive in that sense in their stories. And they may sometimes show pictures of you and be like, look at pile number one. They're so attractive. They're so pretty. They're so handsome. Look at their outfits. I love this, what they're wearing. It's like they describe you to be very alluring is the word I'm getting. And very magnetic. I'm hearing the word glamorous in some way, even if you don't consider yourself so. That's what people are saying about you. But people also often talk about you in their stories to be someone with a good heart. With the Queen of Cups, you see things with a lot of depth, and you do feel things very deeply too. But you put your heart and soul into everything you're passionate about, even in terms of your friendships and romance or whatever this is, and people talk about you to be very loyal. So I'm getting maybe sometimes people tell stories about you, but then they tell a little bit about who you are so that the person can understand. They give a little bit of a backstory to who pile number one is. I'm getting here people often talk about happy memories they've held onto with you with the Sun and the Four of Pentacles. Maybe some siblings, if you have any siblings, they could talk about happy memories you have in childhood, because the Sun sometimes reminds me of the inner child. If you have any siblings or cousins or family members, they could even sometimes show pictures of you and be like, look how cute pile number one was when they were a kid. And talk a little bit about childhood. That's what I'm getting here. And your friendships. Even ex-friends, I feel like they always have good stories to tell about you. Fun, happy memories, even memories that make people laugh or make people smile in some way. I'm getting that very strongly. And maybe even romantic connections. Like they could talk about stories like that where you just had a lot of fun together or fun laughs. That kind of energy, even a challenging situation that gives a laugh at the end of the tunnel. I don't know why I'm saying at the end of the tunnel. I'm thinking light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, and with the Knight of Cups, you know, you will often have people that are romantically interested in you or crushing on you. Not necessarily tell stories about you, because I don't think they know you too well to tell a story about you, but they could tell a story in the sense of if you went on a date with them or if you saw them once or chatted to them once, they could talk about you to be like, you know, to their friends or to people that are close to them, to be like, ooh, look at pile number one. I'm getting sexy Siren vibes from the Queen of Cups and the Ace of Wands. Even if you're a male, like this sexy, alluring vibe. Mermaid, merman, whatever you relate to. But just this very alluring vibe. You know how mermaids lure people in? So there's something very alluring about you, and that's what they'll often say. And, maybe they'll also show a picture of you to be like, look at this person over here. Um, I'm hearing like they're so hot. Like, can you believe I'm talking to them? Then the other person will be like, what? Really? So I'm getting that vibe here. And maybe sometimes they'll talk about the date you went on, what you were wearing, what you two said to each other, maybe something that you said that made them smile or laugh, or maybe a little bit about your personality and how they feel about you with the Knight of Cups. And same for romantic connections or situationships you've been in, or if you are in a current romantic connection. For those of you that are in romantic connections, your lover could, or your person in a situationship could talk about certain memories you have together, happy memories too, things that made them laugh, dates you went on. Because the reason I say so is because he has like a picnic date here and he's giving the person flowers, I assume. And yeah, so they may talk a lot about certain dates you've been on or certain romantic memories you've had together, something along those lines. So another thing I see here is people often talk about a lot about your character. Like I said, you being very loving. That's what I'm getting with the Rose Quartz still. Um, you have a lot of love in your heart, but also I feel this vibe of friendships here with the High Priestess and the Eight of Wands and the Seven of Swords at the back of the deck. Or if you do work in the spiritual community as, a tarot reader, as someone that does energy healing, for some of you, it's not going to resonate with all that is coming through. Like if you've ever had people you've done readings for, they could talk about how accurate you are and how on point you are with your intuition. Even if they don't give you information, you could just know certain things very quickly. That's what I'm getting with the Eight of Wands and the High Priestess. Even if not, I feel your friends and those close to you that know you're intuitive will say how intuitive you are in their stories about you and be like, with the Seven of Swords at the back of the deck, maybe you go to a specific place and there's a person there that everyone likes, that person that everyone likes, and then all of a sudden you pick up on a bad vibe from them. And maybe no one, takes it too seriously, or maybe they do, but there's this feeling of after very quickly something happens that proves your intuition right, that proves maybe they were deceitful or liars, or they did have a bad vibe to them. Or even in friendships, like, let's say your friend is starting to date someone. You could be like, that person, I don't trust them. And then eventually they see something that comes to light that proves that they can look at it in a logical way and see, yes, this is true. So people often tell stories about your intuition being quite on point in that sense. Let's get some more cards for you. So spirit guides of my pile, number ones. People also talk about you being very sensitive in a good way. Like, you're a sensitive soul, you feel deeply for everything, but it's in a good way. It's in a way where you really care for others, you really care for those closest to you, and you're very protective over those you love too. But it's like when family members or when people that are close to you go through challenging situations, you also care a lot for them and you're there for them. So, you may have some friends be like, oh, I was crying about this, or I was really sad about this, but pile number one was there for me in that way. So they may say that you're very empathetic and nurturing too. So there's a lot of love spoken about you since you chose Knight of Cups and Rose Quartz. What stories do people tell about my pile number ones? We have the Magician. Maybe even wanting to create a connection with you, like people that are crushing on you. Like, Oh my gosh. Pile number one, if I had to, create a connection with them, whoa. Or even if it's not romantic, if it's like, if I could be pile number one's friend, that would be so cool because I see some people that don't necessarily, they're not necessarily in your circle or know you too well, may say things like that and describe your character and describe who you are and say, if I could really be around pile number one, that would be amazing. um, since we have the Six of Cups at the back of the deck, people that you may have had in your past, like certain friendships you've had in the past, may still tell stories about you, but I'm not sure if it's good things or negative things. Let me just feel out the energy. Okay, so what I'm getting here, it's a mixture for all of you. Since the Six of Cups represents the past, past friendships, past connections you've had, past situationships, they may still talk about you in a sense where they create a kind of story. As you know, the magician creates. And when you look at magicians in real life, there is an illusionatory effect to it where you think it's magic, but it's not. Maybe it is. I don't know. But it's like, what I'm getting here from Spirit, it will depend on the person watching. Because some of you, you have ex-friends that are quite shady. So, of course, it's in their character to maybe talk about you like that. Whereas some of you have friends, ex-friends that dearly love you still and still have a good place in their heart for you and wouldn't do that to you. But I feel for those of you that are intrigued by this energy and you know that you have some shady ex-friends or some shady ex-lovers that do partake in gossiping, they do kind of create a story here, or they do kind of take a story that has already existed but add more to the story for more effects. With the Ace of Wands, like adding fuel to the fire is what I'm hearing. This kind of energy of making the story more interesting by adding things that are kind of not true. Okay, exaggerating the story in a bit. And some of them that do have, certain feelings of anger towards you, they may add things about you in the story to the mix that are not true to make other people be on their side. So that's something I see here for those of you that were intrigued by that energy. For others of you that don't have ex-friends like that, I see them more so dramatizing, is that the right word to use? Dramatic, making the story more dramatic and adding more effects to it. It reminds me of one friend I have where when they speak in a very dramatic way where they kind of laugh and then it's contagious, or they kind of make certain sound effects that makes people laugh, or they say certain things that make it more dramatic as if they're telling a very dramatic story, but when you actually look at the situation, it was not that bad, but in a good way for laughter and with love, of course. Since we have the Knight of Cups and Queen of Cups, where they may go into depth into the story. Okay? So, spirit guides of pile number one, what stories people tell about them. All of a sudden, my hands feel sweaty. So, people that went on dates with you, for example, or people that were crushing on you, maybe they may talk about like how they were kind of nervous around you and how they wanted to make a good impression. So, we have the King of Wands. We have the Six of Wands. Amazing. Love that. We have the Nine of Pentacles. And we have the Three of Pentacles. I think that's all the cards I'm going to add. And then I'm going to end off there. I'm noticing Four of Wands wants to come out, so that's confirmation of people talking about you in a way that's very fun. They may talk about certain stories, like where you went to an event, a wedding, something together, and it was a lot of fun. They may show pictures of it. Even if it's not a wedding, like an event, a party, a place where you were having fun, they may tell stories about that night or that day. Okay, and then at the back of the deck, we have the Two of Pentacles. So I guess people talk about you in a very balanced way. What does that mean, Spirit? So what Spirit means by this balanced energy is those that are close to you and have your best interest in mind, which I feel for most of you, you do have a lot of good people around you in your circle because you are very intuitive, so you know who has good intentions towards you and who doesn't. So most of them talk about you in a very good way, where they describe you as very down to earth and they enjoy your presence. But balance can also describe duality here, is what Spirit is telling me, since we have two opposite energies. That's what I'm feeling intuitively. It's not necessarily the Two of Pentacles meaning, but it's what I feel intuitively. So going back to that magician thing, you know how magicians can sometimes be sorcerers. They can create and manipulate a situation, manipulate the energy behind it. So what I'm getting here is with duality, especially people from your past, because I don't think you have people in your life right now that are like that, unless you do feel so intuitively, where they may manipulate the story to make another person or people think a certain way of you. So that's what I just want to say, though. I feel you do intuitively feel when people do talk about you in that sense. And even when they do, you're super protected, where people still like you and have kind of, I want to use the word infatuation, but not in a romantic sense, because behind the Two of Pentacles, we have the Queen of Wands. So you know that type of person that's you, where a person tries to say something about them, but then people like them anyway. It doesn't necessarily work. So, an example Spirit is showing me is when in Mean Girls, when Katie tried to ruin Regina George's reputation. And it always backfired because she'd put foot cream in her face cream, and then her boyfriend kissed her on the face, and she thought, oh, he's gonna smell foot cream on her, on him. Yeah, on her. Sorry. And then instead he's like, ooh, you smell like peppermint, and then he got attracted to her. Or the time when Regina George was going in the clothing changing room, and then they cut holes in her t-shirt to make circles there by the chest area, and then they thought, you know, people were gonna make fun of her, but instead people saw her as a trendsetter and started copying her and took that as a trend. So I'm kind of getting that energy and vibe from you, that even when people try to create some kind of illusion where they almost try to manipulate the situation and get people to not like you, people do end up liking you anyways. So I'm getting that vibe here with the King of Wands. People talk about certain, and the Six of Wands, certain success stories you have. You may even have people from your workplace or from school talk about you with Three of Pentacles, Nine of Pentacles, or people you've went to college with if you're still studying or in school. Or if you have, where they may talk about your success stories, whether that be in your actual career or finances and how you've grown with the Nine of Pentacles, or whether that be with your goals, your hobbies, the things you're passionate about. that you've brought to life, that you've created out of pure passion and determination. And it's kind of like this spotlight effect is on you, as we see here in this Six of Wands. We see people cheering her on and she's in the spotlight. So it's like people talk a lot about your stories, about how you found success within your own life, whether it be in your goals, your career, finances, your studies, anything at all. And they talk about it in a very inspiring way, where they talk about how much you've grown. And people in your career or people you work with in school may say things like you have some kind of leadership qualities with the King of Wands, and they may talk about you in the sense where you're really good to work together with in terms of a team setting. So this is all I have for you, pile ones. I really hope you enjoyed this reading. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I can't wait to see you in my next reading. Bye! Hi there, my pile number twos. If you chose this Howlite crystal and the star from the Ethereal Visions Tarot, this reading is for you. We're going to be taking a look at what stories people tell about you. So please be aware this is a general reading. Only take what resonates, leave the rest. So quickly before we get in, if you missed what I said in the intro, I will be taking a limited amount of clients for personal readings. So if you'd like to book, you can send me an email that you can find in the channel's about section, or DM me on Instagram at Psychic Siren Tarot. So let's get into your reading. The first card you chose is the Star. So spirit guides of my pile number twos. Spirit guides of my pile number twos. What stories do people tell about them? What stories do people tell about them? So we have the High Priestess, which is so interesting. If some of you were drawn to pile number one, the High Priestess also came out for them. Or you may just be very intuitive, because I did feel when I came to your pile, it was like my crown chakra opened up so much that it almost felt like a headache. So it went away, but it's not a headache. It's your intuition being so strong and powerful. We have the Six of Swords. We have strength. Yeah, strong and powerful spiritual gifts. Six of Pentacles. We have the Tower. We have the Two of Wands. We have the Seven of Pentacles. We have the Eight of Wands. And we have the Page of Swords. So if it's needed, I'll add more cards as we go along. I just want to make this right. I'll organize this in a bit. At the back of the deck, we have the Death card. Okay, so what stories people tell about you? Page of Swords indicates a lot of curiosity people have towards you when telling stories about you. So this may be people that don't know you so well or aren't clued up in all the information that is happening in your life. The Star kind of reminds me of, you know, when a celebrity gets into something controversial. I'm not saying you get into anything controversial, or when a celebrity has something happen, you know, something great or bad happened to them, and everyone's so intrigued that everyone is writing things on Instagram, that everything's being typed out on Twitter. You know, people are kind of talking about it on YouTube videos and being like, what do you think happened here? Because there's missing information, there's missing pieces. It's kind of like people talk about you in that sense. And I'm not saying that you're a celebrity, but the Star kind of reminds me of that energy. So people may talk about you in the sense where I'm almost seeing spirit show me popcorn, like, when people watch a good and interesting movie and they're eating popcorn. So people may tell stories about you in a way that comes from curiosity, where they don't know all the details, but they've maybe heard certain things through the grapevine, I'm hearing, and they're like, pile number 2, do you know what happened here? Do you perhaps know? In a very curious way, or like, let's stalk. I'm seeing someone stalk your social media, since I spoke about Twitter and all those things, and try to find more information on you to try add more details to the story. But I bit my tongue now, so there's something about you being someone very private for some of you on social media, or you don't share everything to everyone. Like, for example, let's say you have Instagram. Maybe you put things on your close friend's story, but you don't air out all the information to the whole world. Or maybe you're just someone really private, where you only tell those closest to you what's happening in your life, especially the more intimate personal details, because I feel like people talk about more intimate personal details about you and stuff they've heard through the grapevine, which in a sense may not even be fully true, because Spirit is showing me the game of telephone and how people can sometimes talk and add things to the story, or take things away from the story, or not hear things correctly, and then it becomes a different story that isn't necessarily true. It's a little bit distorted. Do you get what I mean? So I'd say just take everything I say in this reading with a grain of salt, because some of it may be exaggerated, or some of it may be not even true. I feel like for you, people like to talk about you, especially people that aren't close to you. With the Page of Swords, people that are more curious towards you, but they don't know much about you, because it's almost like they're looking at you in an air of mystery. So let's get into what they actually say about you. So firstly, I'm seeing someone specific in a group of people they're friends with. And let's say these friends they have don't necessarily know you, but then they're talking about you to just talk, because Spirit is showing me like maybe they're around their friends so much they have nothing interesting to talk about anymore. So then the topic of your name shows up in their conversations. Or sometimes it can be people people from your past, or people that you don't know too well, like neighbors, for example, or people you work with the Seven of Pentacles, or people you go to school with Seven of Pentacles, or people you just know that you're not too close to, where they talk about you for interest's sake, because yeah, like I said earlier, they're intrigued and curious. So what I see they say about you is I'm seeing someone show an image of you through their phone. And firstly, like, I'd say some people say good things, some people say negative things. I guess we can't necessarily control the things people say about us. We just need to know who we are. So I'm seeing some people show like a picture of you and say this person's so attractive, that there's something so elegant about you, and that you're someone that shines bright like a star. People may talk about you and tell certain stories about you, where they say that you're kind of in your own world, that you're just kind of to yourself, kind of just, like I said, in your own world. But people may say that you're quite a pure soul, a sweet soul, that when most people talk about you, I think even if they try to add drama to the mix, or try to say certain things about you, they can't necessarily, because I mean, you chose the Howlite, and this tarot deck is white, so it reminds me of purity. So People may say you're a pure soul that can do no harm to others, but in a way, sometimes people try to say things about you, but they can't necessarily find anything negative. Especially people that dislike you or people from your past, where, like, let's say they want to just talk about you because they're angry at you or because they have some resentment towards you, and because you're showing up as a star, that may create admiration from people, but it may also create jealousy since you shine so bright. You have a lot of light. I feel this is my pile of light workers. And because you have a lot of light, that may trigger people's inner shadows. Okay, so I'm getting some people will show like an image of you and be like, oh, did they edit their picture? There's no way they look that good, like filter, things like that, almost like bad mouthing you because they can't find anything else to say about you. Or sometimes they will just say downright lies about you. With the tower here, because this person's wearing a mask, it's like they may tell certain rumors about you that are not true, that aren't necessarily you. It's almost like they're putting a mask over your face and saying, pile number 2 did this. Can you believe it? Like, can you believe it? And it's all like dramatic and everything, but with the tower card, it's showing me you're very protected in a way. When people make things up about you or spread rumors about you in their stories, something happens to them immediately. Immediately is the word I hear. So then they get very scared and then they stop. You're very spiritually protected. Like, your guides don't play with you, pal, too. So that's what I want to say. And in some ways, sometimes it's not necessarily believable because people that do know you know your character. And it's like, when you hear something about someone and they're not like that, and then you kind of question it in your own mind and you're like, would they do something like that? I don't think they're that type of person. So I'm kind of getting that energy here. People may talk about you to be very dreamy since I'm noticing so many clouds in the backgrounds of the photos, or kind of just in your own dream world if you're kind of like that person. People may talk about certain situations you've been through out of curiosity or intrigue with the tower. So people may talk about certain situations that have happened in your life or happened to people around you that seemed negative or that seemed chaotic or destructive, like something bad happening in your life. For example, let's say you went through a breakup, or let's say I'm seeing maybe someone as an example get held off a job, and then people are talking about it by intrigue where they don't know all the details, but then it's like, those examples don't have to resonate, but those are examples to the energy where it's like, what do you think happened? Why do you think that happened to them? And then I'm seeing clairvoyantly people spilling the tea, like tea being poured. So people are talking about it in a way where they're kind of spilling the tea on you and gossiping about you. But then with the Strength card and the 7 of Pentacles, I'm getting you always bounce back. You always find a way to work through those negative, destructive situations that happen in your life, or sudden endings that happen in your life, with the Death card at the back of the deck. But as we know, with the Death card at the back of the deck, death is all about change. It's all about cycles, endings. It's not about real life things, but it's about a metaphoric energy of something ending within our life but bringing change and a new beginning. So people may talk about certain endings that happen in your life immediately, where it's like, do you think pile number 2 is okay? Because they're seeing a person cry here. Even if they didn't see you cry, it's like, do you think pile 2 is okay? Some people are concerned. Some people are just intrigued and they want to spill the tea. And in that moment, it may seem very hectic or chaotic, but then I'm getting you always bounce back and you always find hope after that with a star. Where people talk about you after and they see with the eye here, they're kind of watching to see what happens in your life after that because they're intrigued and curious and they want to see what happens and they want to learn more about you and your situation. And then it's like you always bounce back, you always find the hope, you always transition away from that energy and create something new after that because I'm seeing the Fool card clairvoyantly. So you always find something new to be hopeful about after a big ending, and you're very strong and resilient where you don't let those situations defeat you. And with the Seven of Pentacles, you always work through it and find a solution to negative things that happen in your life. And you know how the Tower isn't necessarily a negative thing happening to you. It's happening for you, for your highest good, for a change or transition to happen in your life with the Six of Swords, so that you can go to where you're truly meant to and where your soul is taking you to with the Star. So people may talk about you in the sense where it's like, whoa, this happened, and then 2 months later, 6 months later, it's like they find new information about you and you're doing better than ever, better than you were before. That's what I'm getting with the Star and Six of Swords. Like, people talk about big changes that also happened in your life where it's not necessarily that anything wrong happened or anything bad happened, but big changes you went through by just having faith and by just strongly believing in yourself and strongly believing that God, the universe, is going to provide for you and give you the opportunities you need with the Six of Pentacles. So people talk about in their stories like, oh, did you hear pile number 2 got a new job? And now, you know, this job is way better than the one they had before. Or, oh, did you hear pile number 2 got into a new relationship and now their relationship is way better than the previous one? It's giving me that vibe. The examples don't have to resonate, but it's giving me that vibe of people talking about big changes. I'm even seeing someone move cities, move houses, where people talk about these big changes and big opportunities that come into your life from the generosity of the universe of God. And people talk about you in their stories to be very strong and resilient, where nothing defeats you. You're always going to move forward and find a positive solution and a positive way to look at something quote unquote negative. With the Star, people may also talk about your healing journey, how you have healed yourself from certain situations that happen to you, but you're still so strong and resilient even through that, and you've worked on yourself a lot with the Seven of Pentacles. So I see some people being curious and wanting to learn from you, especially if some of you have social media accounts where you post a little bit about the healing journey, or you post a little bit about self-love, for example, or spirituality. People may sometimes be intrigued, even strangers, where they want to know more, where they kind of want to learn from you on your journey and how you've healed yourself, how you've gone within and created some kind of big butterfly moment for you, where you definitely came out of your cocoon and had your butterfly moment and transformed in some way. And, you know, people talk a lot about who you are in their stories, where they say that you're someone really connected to spirituality or your own religion or your own beliefs, because a Star is someone that is having one foot in the water and one foot on earth, representing being that bridge between the higher realms and earth. That's confirmed by the High Priestess here. You have a lot of wisdom in your Akashic records, is what I'm seeing from your spirit guides, and a lot of this wisdom and High Priestess intuitive energy comes from past lives. So people may talk in their stories about your gifts being so on point, about certain things you say that are so on point, and It's like you're so intuitive that you may even say things or give certain information to people without realizing it. And then later on with the Two of Wands, they maybe look at it as time moves forward with the Eight of Wands, and something very quickly happens that proves your intuition was right. I don't know what this is. It could be different for all of you, but take it as it resonates. People may also talk about you in a sense where they say that you're someone very peaceful, I get here, very strong, and very generous too, in a way that you're a giver. You love to give to people, especially those closest to you. And I'm hearing the word loyalty. Well, I'm hearing it in the sense of Rihanna's song. Rihanna, I think she sings it with someone else. Let me just check. Where she's like loyalty, loyalty, loyalty. Oh, my Wi-Fi is not working. I don't remember who sings it with her. So spirit guides on my pile number 2s. Well, I think she features on the song. Spirit guides on my pile number 2s. What stories do people tell about them? We have the Nine of Wands. So definitely certain challenges you've been through where you still stayed strong. And I feel like with the Star, opposite strength, and since the Nine of Wands is here on top of it, people may talk about you, since the Emperor wants to pop out, being very stable in the sense where you're very intelligent, is what I'm getting from this pile. But you're also intuitive. So I guess there is some similarities to pile 1, but differences in the stories. But it's like people talk about you being very stable in the sense where you're able to find practical solutions to your challenges and follow what your intuition tells you, but also believe and have faith that something is going to help you. God, the universe, whatever you believe in. And people may also sometimes talk about you in an inspirational way where it's like, pile number 2 went through this challenge and they got through it. They found a solution to it. They were strong. They held through. And people start to believe that hope does exist after seeing your story, after seeing some life events you've went through, some challenges you went through, and how there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm getting that. People talk about you in an inspirational way. Even some changes you've gone through in your life, some big changes. I'm getting like people may talk about you where they tell a story about something that's happened in your life to someone that's going through something similar, to give kind of like wisdom and advice and be like, you know, pile 2 went through this, but they got through it. I believe you can too. So I'm seeing something about that too. So we have the King of Cups. We have the Empress. So the Empress is Venus energy. I'm getting self-love energies here. How certain situations in your life that may have seemed bad at first with the Tower were actually divine intervention that led you and was a catalyst to creating a change within you to develop more self-love for yourself, to develop more of this worthiness where you truly believe in yourself more, where you truly know your worth. So I'm getting, for example, let's say you were in connections before that weren't good for you, or you were at a job you didn't like that wasn't paying you enough, or let's just say anything in your life where you weren't necessarily seeing your own worth, but maybe something happened that was a catalyst to to building that self-worth and loving yourself deeper and realizing you're worthy of whatever it is you want. So people may talk about your self-love journey with the Empress, but people may also talk about your beauty, because the Empress is a very beautiful woman. Regardless of your gender, people may talk about your attractiveness. The Empress is also someone that has a lot of abundance and kind of goes with the flow of life. So people talk about you being someone that really goes with the flow, trusts in the divine even when challenges take place in your life. You are emotionally balanced with King of Cups here. Some elements are similar to pile 1 of what I'm saying, but different stories. So what I'm getting here is the Empress could also indicate you getting, abundance, financial abundance, after going through some challenges with your finances. Or it could have to do with something you abundantly want or wish for with the star. So the star sometimes reminds me of dreaming and wishes. So let's say, for example, you're wishing for love or you're wishing for friendships, and it was challenging before, but now you have an abundance of it, or it's showing up in your future energies of what people may say about you in the future. But people may also talk a lot about your growth as a person, how you've gone within and changed as a person and grown as a person, in the sense where I see people from your past talking about you and being like, pile number 2 was this person before. Now look at them, they're someone completely different. So I see an element of that too. We have the well. So when people talk about you, they go very deep into the stories and they add a lot of details. But since the woman is looking away and she's holding a pendulum, they may not know all the details. This woman is looking towards the Page of Swords. So there may still be this element of needing to learn more about the situation to know all the details. But it's giving you the vibe of, when you have, for example, a school project where you're like, I'm just going to wing it. I don't know all the information, or I have a big test I haven't studied. I'm just going to wing it and guess the answers. It's giving me that vibe. Like, I'm just going to guess the answers and hope that it's true. So when people tell deep stories about you, some of it may be untrue, some of it may be true. Some of it may just be for the effects of a story, for the sake of a story. Do you get what I mean? Where it's like they're guessing answers, if that makes sense. We have the 9 of Cups. So people may talk about you getting a lot of wish fulfillments within your life with the 9 of Cups, or some wishes coming true for you, whether they have happened or not, or whether it's showing up in your future energies. And we have the Ace of Wands. We have the 4 of Wands, the Emperor. So again, Ace of Wands is attractiveness. Again, this energy of certain challenges happening in your life, but you going towards your passions and believing anyways, and looking at it in a very logical way, but also going with the flow. So people may talk about some celebrations you've had with the 4 of Wands, and some growth you've had as a result of believing in yourself, as a result of following what your heart and what your passions were telling you, going with the flow, but also creating a structured plan in order for this to go through. So people talk about it in a very inspired way with the Ace of Wands, where it's inspiring, it's a passionate story that is told about you. So this is what I have for you, pal 2. Very interesting reading you had today. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I can't wait to see you in my next reading. Bye! Hi there, my pile number threes. If you chose this Amethyst crystal and the Hanged Man with Iolite from the Crystal Magic Tarot deck, this reading is for you. We're going to be taking a look at what stories people tell about you. So please be aware this is a general reading. Only take what resonates, leave the rest. Before you get started, I quickly want to mention if you missed what I said in the intro, I will be taking a limited amount of clients for personal readings. So if you'd like to book, you can send me an email that you can find in the channel's about section or DM me on Instagram at Psychic Siren Tarot. So the card you chose is the Hanged Man with Iolite. Very cool. So now let's shuffle your cards and get any information from your spirit guides. So spirit guides of pile 3, spirit guides of pile number 3. May I please tap into their energies and the energies of what people say about them. So we have the Four of Wands with dendricate agate. I don't know how to say that word, sorry. We have the Empress with chrysocolla. And I feel this card, Knight of Swords with copper. What stories people tell about them. We have Page of Cups with Vera Cruz Amethyst, which is so interesting because you chose the amethyst crystal. What stories people tell about them. We have the High Priestess with Labradorite. Interesting that this card came out in all 3 piles. So all 3 piles in today's reading of the people that are watching are quite intuitive, which is very cool to see. We have the Ten of Wands with Aquamarine. Some of you may relate to pile 1 if you were drawn, because I mentioned them kind of being like a siren, and here we see a mermaid. We have the Nine of Coins with Bloodstone. And at the back of the deck, we have the Sun with Citrine. If I need to add more cards, I'll do that as I go along. Okay, so what I'm getting here about the stories people tell about you. Okay, we start off the reading with the Hangman, the card you chose, and we see this symbol representing time. So there's something regarding time here as a message. So you may have people from your past, people from your present, and people in the future talk about you. But I feel like with your pile, it's mostly good things. It's mostly good things. We'll see with the more cards that come along. But straight away, I'm feeling the vibe I get straight away is mostly good things. But, you know, if people from your past do talk about you and you do know they're the type of people that bad mouth, you know, I guess we could see more messages as we go along. But what I'm getting here with the Hanged Man, we see these 2 skulls here. So it could represent certain endings, but also certain transformations that have happened in your life. Because an ending is not just an ending, it's also a new beginning. Okay, so we could see people talking about certain stories about you where endings have happened in your life but have led to a new beginning in your life. And the sense of, you know, people maybe even waiting for the story to unfold to tell more about it. So let's say, for example, the Hangman can sometimes indicate, you know, being in limbo, feeling frustrated, feeling stuck because of delays. You know, we're making plans. We want to do things. We want to grow within our own life. 9 of Pentacles tells me you've been watering certain seeds, planting certain seeds in your life and watering them to help them grow here with the Empress and the plant. So this can be for anything. This can be for your love life. This can be for your career, your studies, your finances. It can be literally anything. Your love life, your friendships, your own personal growth, anything at all. And maybe feeling like you're maybe at the beginning it's feeling like you're putting in a lot of work towards it, because the Nine of Pentacles is not just the outcome, it's the result of us putting in hard work and effort and the fruits of our labor showing, because we see this woman gardening here and feeling very happy while she's watering her plants. But she's happy because she's been consistent in watering her plants, so they have begun to grow, and now she's getting her harvest. So people may talk about you in the sense where it's like they watched you on your journey and how you started, and how at first you maybe felt stuck, or at first you put in the work, but then at some point you felt stuck, and with the eye here, they were watching you. And watching as things unfold, watching as time tells how you transform this situation with the snake here wrapped around her. Okay, because snakes are representations of transformation. Okay, so snakes can also represent snakes that were in your life. So if you intuitively feel that there were some snakes in your life before, they could talk about you. We'll see more in a bit as the stories of what people tell about you unfold. But I feel most of the time people talk about you where they're like seeing you go through a situation and you're trying to grow something in your life and you're feeling a little bit stuck or a little bit in limbo. And you've been putting in a lot of time and effort towards this, being very patient towards it, because the hangman is kind of a waiting period. When we plant a seed, it doesn't grow in one day. Rome wasn't built in one day. A plant takes some time to grow, but it's kind of a waiting period as we give it time to grow within our lives. So it's quite interesting that we see you're quite intuitive, but you also chose the amethyst crystal. Just an extra note on what I'm seeing here. I'm feeling the energies of the throat chakra, and it's like people talk about you in a sense where they're saying these things that you're going through in the moment, and then I see them almost rooting for you. I see some or most of the people we're channeling here rooting for you. Because Spirit is showing me, when people go to a game, this is what Spirit is showing me clairvoyantly. When they go to, let's say, like a baseball game, for example, and they're rooting for the team that they like the most. And even if the team they like the most is going through some challenging situations where, it looks a little bit highly unlikely that they're going to win, but the team is rooting for them so much that they eventually end up winning. I'm seeing an image of that clairvoyantly. So it's like people are celebrating you winning at the end, or rooting for you to win at the end, and kind of being on your team. Okay, so that's a really good message to see. That really warms my heart to know people are rooting for you and they do want to see you shine. They do want to see you have success and celebrate something that you want in your life with the Four of Wands. Because Four of Wands is all about celebration. This may also include some friends you have that talk about you and are like, because we see a bunch of friends here dancing and having fun in their bedroom, having maybe like a sleepover. So this could include some things your friends say about you, and people that just enjoy your presence, because the Four of Wands is all about enjoyment, fulfillment, celebrations, having a really happy and fun time. So it's like they're celebrating your wins, but they're also rooting for you while you're waiting for those wins to happen. And I see them maybe talking about you in a sense like, pile number 3 is going through this right now. This kind of hardship with the Ten of Wands, because Ten of Wands can sometimes indicate a hardship we go through, or this feeling of a weight being on our back. But in this case, we see a mermaid and she's swimming. And in order to swim, she maybe needs to get rid of these wands. That's what I'm kind of picking up from the image intuitively. Like she needs to get rid of these wands to swim perfectly. So maybe there were some challenges you had to get rid of. And, with these sea turtles here, this was maybe a slow process, even confirmed with the hangman, a waiting process, a waiting game to see what happens in the physical reality. And it's like people are talking and saying, oh, pile number 3, they're going through this hardship, this situation. But I really believe that they can make it through that. And they're talking about it a little bit to maybe people that are close to them or their family. And I'm hearing pray for pile 3, or like, I really hope pile 3 makes it through this or something like that. And then later on, the story gets left behind, but then I see them maybe waiting to see what happens in your life as well. And then when whatever it is you do want to grow, and whatever it is you want the challenges and the hardships to maybe leave, or maybe finding solutions to that to move it around in your life, change around the energy and being patient, then it's like you're swimming towards your goals and desires, and you're painting them in your reality, as we see here with the Page of Cups. She's painting her wall. So you're painting the reality you want as you dream big, because the Page of Cups is sometimes this dreamer quality or this dreamy quality. So it's like like I said, you're painting the reality you want and taking a lot of action towards it with the Knight of Swords. And then after you reach that goal, after you reach that celebration of what you wanted in your life, I see people showing the result. So just imagine you're painting something and it's taken 3 weeks to paint this masterpiece. I don't know how long it takes to paint, but let's just say it takes 3 weeks to paint this masterpiece. And it's kind of like people were waiting to see how this painting turns out, and then in the end people really like it. And this painting is a metaphor for your life and how you've painted your reality by taking action towards it and following what your intuition is telling you, because your intuition was leading you towards planting this goal in your life and having it come to fruition. But it's like, before that can happen, I see you maybe having to look at the situation from an objective perspective and almost like looking at the situation through different angles and perspectives, and gaining new insights, gaining an aha moment on it, and finding a new approach that can help you change what's happening around you. Okay, so the Hangman is associated to Neptune energy, which is also the planet of dreams. So people may talk often about, in their stories, you reaching and taking action towards your dreams, your goals, your desires, and how you ended up getting out of that stuck situation, how you found new ways to be open and open up your mind to new ways of perceiving yourself and the situation, and almost like waiting for things to happen and unfold, but also clearing your mind, activating and trusting and following your intuition, and exploring your dreams and realizing it's a journey. So you're getting out of that stuckness and you're seeing things differently, and you're quickly moving towards and taking action. I feel Mars energy here, taking action towards your dreams and desires to create it into a reality. Then I see people being like, pile number 3, they finally got what they wanted, and they're celebrating for you, and they're telling the story like, do you remember when I told you pile 3 was going through the stuck situation, this hardship, and now they finally won, they finally got what they wanted. So I see an element of that, and they finally got their harvest, and I see people being really happy for you with the sun and citrine at the back of the deck. Citrine is a crystal of success. So I see people being really happy for you and celebrating you after this comes into fruition. if this hasn't happened yet, maybe I may be seeing a little bit into future energies of stories people may tell about you in the future. And this may be a little bit of, I'm almost seeing a fairy. I don't know if some of you have fairy guides around you, but I'm seeing a fairy sprinkle hope onto you if this hasn't happened in your life yet, and showing you a little bit about stories people may say in the future about you, where they talk about you with happiness and with hope and inspiration. And celebrate you, celebrate your wins. So that's what I'm really getting here. With the Empress and Chrysicola, people may also talk a lot about your growth in an inspired way, where maybe they talk about you finding your spiritual gifts, finding yourself, growing, going within, finding what your heart is telling you to do, and moving towards that. Being very diligent and determined to move towards that and unfold it, learn about it, create it in your reality. Because when we're learning about our gifts, Spirit is showing me Elsa and Anna from Frozen. We don't always know how to control our gifts. And I have this too sometimes. So if you're very intuitive, you may be going through an initiation, or you may have gone through an initiation into finding a way to control your gifts. Because if you remember Frozen, she couldn't control her gifts, so she had to shut herself away from the world. She felt the need to do that. So maybe some of you maybe don't take that literally, but you've gone through a journey of unfolding and finding your gifts and finding a way to understand them and work with them for your life. So people may talk about that a lot in their stories of you. People may also talk about, like I said, how you got through those hardships and how you've grown within your own personal life journey and how things have unfolded for you. I almost see it like you're planting different seeds of different areas of your life. And let's say we have a whole garden here. I just bumped my elbow. I don't know why. Maybe that's symbolism for the hardships. Like, it's sometimes painful, but we still need to get through it. So imagine a whole garden, and this whole garden is symbolic for your life. Over here we have your love life. Over here we have your career. Over here we have your finances. Here we have you and your growth. Here we have your family. Here we have your home, and different aspects of life in general. But you're planting and watering each seed in different aspects of your life. And people come to your life in the beginning. They see you planting. They don't think much of it, but they talk about it. And then towards the end, they come back and they see this whole garden has grown. And it's like, whoa, pile number 3. Do you remember when I told you they were planting this garden? Metaphorical for your life. And now everything has grown. I'm seeing an element of that. People may also talk about happy memories they have with you with the sun, especially your friends and people close to you, people that really enjoy your presence. People may talk about, like those happy memories they had with you, fun times they had with you, things that made them laugh. They may talk about that and kind of paint a picture to people in order for them to see what happened in that story and how things turned out. People may, especially your friends, people you've had fun with, may talk about certain events you've gone together with the Four of Wands, or certain fun things you've done together that were really fun. Like, let's say they go home and they tell their family, or they tell other friends, yeah, me and pal 3 did this together, it was so fun. Or they may talk about it in a way where they're in another setting with other people later on, even as time has passed, and they talk about that story in a very fun way. Like, let's say you went to an event, a party, or you just did something fun together. I see something like that here. So anything else about the stories people tell about them? We have the Knight of Coins with green jasper. We have the Page of Coins with fluorite. So people say that you're very focused. You're loving to learn and gain new information and find different perspectives on how to help the things you want to grow in your life grow. And you're very determined, but you're also very patient in the sense of allowing whatever it is you want to come to fruition. People may talk about you in a way to be very dreamy. You're a dreamer and you follow your dreams, but you don't just dream big. You don't just dream big and reach for the stars, but you also take action and you learn about it and you follow your intuition by going there, but also taking action towards it and learning more, finding new perspectives. So using your logic, but also using your intuition to get there, using this element of dreaming big, but also taking action. So I think there's a lot of inspiration coming through here in your story and the stories people tell about you. We have the Two of Swords with Obsidian. So people may talk about certain decisions or choices you've made out of your intuition. What are these choices and decisions they talk about? We have the Moon with Moonstone. Lots of psychic energies. Temperance with Lapider Light. Oh, okay. So I know why I'm picking up on this more mermaid energy. I feel like this Temperance card with the dolphins kind of reminds me of Lemuria, Atlantis, Sirius B, the planet Sirius B, if you believe in star seeds, or Mintaka, but more Sirius B and Lemuria. So maybe some of you have past lives here since it's opposite the High Priestess, which is why I'm picking up on your energy to be quite mermaid-like or quite merman-like. If you believe in past lives and that, you know, you may want to look into that if you feel you have this deep connection to water, you know, sea creatures, things like that. That may be why people may describe you to be quite watery or quite like a dolphin or quite like a mermaid or merman, in the sense where they describe you to be very wise, intuitive, but also playful like the dolphin. And very much like a dreamer. You dream big. You're very connected to the magic of yourself, because this is the Crystal Magic Tarot. And when you think about it, children, you know, believe in Santa Claus and fairies and mermaids and all these things. So maybe you're someone that has that dreamlike energy with the moon, very dreamy energy, where you believe in those types of things, or you believe in spirituality and past lives or something like that for some of you. And maybe you talk about that, and maybe people may tell stories of things you said to them that were really interesting to them, where they learned something with the Page of Coins. If you do talk about spiritual topics or more deeper things, you know, people may, you know, talk about things they've learned from you, from the deep conversations they've had with you, and really found it fun to talk about that with you, since it's opposite the Four of Wands. And they may tell other people about that, like, oh, you know, what's really interesting about past lives, about aliens, about this, about conspiracy theories, about this deep topic. It's like people may talk about that to other people, and not maybe they'll tell a story about you in the way that they said Pile 3 said this, or maybe they'll just tell a story and not necessarily say that, but that's what I'm picking up here. In terms of choices, I think it's choices you made trusting your intuition, trusting what your gut instincts were telling you. And maybe even if you didn't have any physical evidence to say, yes, this is what I'm going to do. With obsidian here, you protected yourself, because obsidian is a very protective crystal. So it's like you protected yourself by, how do I put this in words? The moon can be a little bit of a hidden energy or mystery. So maybe you protected yourself by not telling many people, by keeping it more private. in terms of what you want to dream up and wish for and go towards. And maybe you made a choice to keep that private and keep it to yourself and let everyone see the celebration after. So if you went on a little bit of a hermit mode where you were just focusing on your goals, focusing on you, focusing on your own growth, and just telling those closest to you, but letting the rest remain a mystery to people, where they're kind of wondering where you are, why you've been so quiet for so long, but then they see the end result and it's like, whoa, pile number 3. Like, I'm seeing strangers or acquaintances where they're like, whoa, pile number 3, they were MIA for so long, but now we see why, because they succeeded at this. So I'm seeing an element of that, and patience here with the Temperance, making a decision to be patient as you wait for things to unfold, for the new beginning to unfold. So we have the new beginning here with the Fool, with green aventurine. And green aventurine is all about luck. So people may talk about you in your stories to be very lucky if they didn't see the process unfold. But those that really know will see your hard work that you made a choice to put in, and the patience you had to have for in order for this to work. We have the Chariot with pyrite, and pyrite is a crystal of wealth. So something physical coming into fruition in your life that is succeeding. We have the Sun with citrine now. So yeah, happy things succeeding in your life. Choices you made that led to happy results and certain level ups in your life. Maybe some of you moved, or maybe some of you traveled with the Chariot. It doesn't have to be, but maybe some of you moved jobs, for example, or something moved around in your life. A new beginning started here that people are talking about. And, certain opportunities that have happened in your life. So this is a very inspiring and nice reading to do for you. I really hope this reading resonated. If it did, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I can't wait to see you in my next reading. Bye!